Yo, this the right script, bro. What's up, guys? It's your boy. And so another day, y'all know what time it is. It's time for another build. Let me go hit the comment section real quick. Back when I made the Blue Rose Sword video, there's this one guy who noticed my Zero Sanity Arknights reference. As y'all know, I'm actually one hell of a Zero Sanity Doctor myself. By the way, I've been making 1-to-1 scaled 3D printed Scotty Sword for 2 months. Maybe we'll make some Arknight Sword too, because I saw your references to Zero Sanity and stuff, e.g. Thorn Sword, Surtr, or Texas Altar. When you mention Arknight Swords users, there's gotta be one that quickly pops in my mind.
私を混乱する記憶の渦から救い出し落ち着かせてくれるのはアイスクリームを置いて他にない。
Surtr is an arts fighter guard who wields this massive sword that when combined with her S3 is an absolute carry machine. You're stuck in a stage?
Just to put Surtr on the ground and just activated the skill.
I use Surtr on almost every hard stage. Now the banging noises of this sword is just playing on repeat in my brain. You know, like after a while it could totally dump your sanity. And you all know what happens when this motherfucker low sanity. I'ma build that shit in real life. So let's start off with our first phase. I'ma kickstart fusion and start drawing the sword. And being the mad lad I am, I'm gonna go absolutely full blow and model this sword to be 2 freaking meters long. This sword isn't exactly hard to do. It took me approximately 5 hours to finish this drawing. Now if you're interested in seeing me work on this drawing, I think I'll make a separate video on it. And now that we have a solid 3D drawing of the sword, I'ma cut the sword into smaller parts, then export them piece by piece. Then I'll import them to Cura. So Cura is a slicing software, which means this software prepares the parts so we could use them in a 3D printer. Now what I love about 3D printers is that these things are automatic and you can reliably AFK while your parts are being worked on. It took me approximately a week of printing to get every single part done. But as you guys can see here, every single part is complete. Now we can put them all together. So the plan is, we're gonna be using the same old aluminum rod we used back in the other 2 oversized sword projects. And so here's the pipe that we're gonna be using. I've already cut it at about the length of 120 centimeters long. And now what we're gonna be doing with this rod is that we're gonna skew this sword starting from the pommel up to about like the 3rd last section of the blade. And then for the other 2 where it hits the curvature, we're gonna be using like the default connectors I'd use on my most other projects. And now obviously this big ass sword is not gonna hold on without any form of addition whatsoever, right? Which is why I'm gonna be using my favorite technique called welding. So for those of you who don't know how welding works, basically you grab something hot. For me, I'm just gonna go grab the soldering iron, but if you got one of these motherfuckers, it would definitely be much faster. And then you use it to touch on the edges of the part that you want to combine. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna cause these parts to melt. And then once it melts, you're gonna want to swerve the material around so they would like mix and fuse together. And don't forget, when melting this kind of plastics, don't forget to wear a mask. This thing can let out some pretty nasty smoke, so you want to make sure it doesn't shit your lungs. Also some glasses as well. And then as it cools down, it's gonna create like one solid piece, combining these 2 pieces together. Now this is the technique I usually use on swords that are much larger and requires much more strength. However, this technique does come at a cost, which is ruining the geometry by a little bit. But that's fine, we can totally clean up in the next step. Alright guys, so that's basically one blade section done right here. Now we got like how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, still got like 10 of them, bro. So yeah, this is gonna take quite a while. Let's just get straight into it. So I spent about 3 hours already in this shit, but looky here. Oh fuck. Holy shit, bro, this is stupidly huge. Alright, let me just bring this camera outside real quick so I can just show you just how freaking ridiculous this sword is. Stupid chair, bro. There we go. So yeah, I'm about 177 centimeters tall, and this is what a 2 meters long sword looks like. It's fucking huge. I know. This has got to be like the most badass looking sword I've done so far. Have you ever seen a sword pommel that's like bigger than a human face? You've seen one now. It's like twice the length of my head. Let me try holding it this way. Holy shit, bro. Holy shit. Let me try showing it once. God damn. Bullshit, bro. I just swung a 2 meter long sword. That felt amazing. Bro, imagine like swinging this shit around and then this big ass pommel would just like knock you out. That'd be dumb as hell. I wonder how Surtr is able to like swing this around like no problem though. Alright, so now that the Surtr Sword is already in one piece, we can now move on to the next step, sanding. For those of you who don't know, sanding in a nutshell is basically just like cleaning up your build, getting rid of any surfaces that's not even so that when you paint it, this thing is gonna like look nice and smooth. Because you know, like the welding process we did just now left us with a bunch of these pretty disgusting looking abomination. And obviously, we don't want this to be like the final look of our sword now, don't we? This is why we have to clean that shit. More suffering. Yay! First of all, I'm gonna address something real quick. If you take a look at some of the blobs here, you'll definitely notice that there's definitely a few of the surfaces that looks pretty lacking. And by lacking here, I mean not enough material. So if you were trying to sand this thing smooth, it'll take basically ages before you finally scratch that concave area. And you'd basically be cutting through walls of your build. And at that point, your builds are basically gonna be too small. And so we're gonna have to be adding a little bit of flesh to it. But how are we gonna do that? Don't worry, I got you. We are gonna be using this. This is called plastic putty. It's a simple mixture of two ingredients that if you mix it, it's basically gonna harden and also fill in areas that are uneven while it's still in liquid form. And so we're gonna be using this to add a little bit of flesh to the areas where I think I did a little bit too much damage with the weld. Alright, so now that we got the areas filled up where necessary, it's time for us to get to the real cleaning. And to do that, I got a few tools I could show you guys here. So the first tools we got here, we got the hand file set. Well, basically these are just like pieces of steel with like fine ridges on them. We got like a semicircle shape, we got a flat shape right here. And I've also got like this round shape, each obviously serving like very different purposes. And so what I'm gonna be using them for is to scratch the surface around the weld marks, basically using it to like flatten areas in like a more concentrated area. And then next up we got the delta sander. So basically the delta sander and the hand file does have like very similar purposes. However, they are a little bit different in a sense. The delta sander is automatic, this one's manual. You're gonna need like more horse to use this. But the delta sander is obviously more expensive than the hand file. And also in terms of usage, if you're familiar with gaming terms, it's more of a like this one has larger AoE, this one has smaller AoE. Meanwhile, this thing has bigger damage, this one has smaller damage. I hope that kind of makes sense to you. And then last but not least, we got my handheld Dremel setup. So this is basically like a rotary tool. You basically insert one of these bits into a shaft holder, you turn it on, and you can basically use this tool to clean up those areas in which the hand file and the delta sander cannot reach. For example, like these corner areas right here. So yeah, that's basically like the tools we could use. Now that we have all the tools we needed right here, we can just get started. Because this thing's got like a shit ton of surface area, so this is gonna be quite a long day. so I've been sanding this thing for about 5 hours now. And I gotta say, this thing is definitely one hell of a sword to clean up. You got this much surface area and this much detail on the sword. That's definitely tasking to do. But as you guys can see right here, the entire sword is already sanded down. It's already nice and smooth. Like all the welt marks are gone. Either I patched it up or it's already sanded flat. Now let's take this baby outside and move on with the next step. Painting. Alright, so now we're at the paint booth. Alright, so for the paint job, here's what we're gonna want to do. First things first, I'm gonna be starting off with one quick coat of primer. This paint is basically gonna add like one layer of paint to our sword, basically flattening out even further, also making like the dry finish of the sanded part like a little bit more even and moist. It also does like seep into some holes that I missed, also like compensate for some of that. So here's the primer that I'm gonna be using. Now you might be wondering like what happened to the usual primer that you use? Too expensive, lol. But seriously dude, like amongst all the spray paints that I have, the one that's definitely gonna run out fastest has got to be the primer. Reason for that is got to be like the massive surface area of the sword that we're painting, and also I usually like spray a shit ton of it to try and fill up holes. The one that I usually use costs about 15 euros, meanwhile this one that I just found costs about like 5. So yeah. Alright, so a little update. I finally done like one pass on this thing. Now I really gotta tell you, this sword really is something else, because this is the first time ever I've actually like finished one full can of spray paint in one go. Check it out. Yeah, this thing's done for. Alright, so now with the primer done, we can then move on with the main colors. If we look at the reference of the sword from Surtr's E0 art, the majority of the sword is covered in brown, which starts off from the pommel and then it extends all the way up to like 1/4 of the handguard, and then the rest just kind of like fades into a yellow goldish paint. So it goes something like this, from like a brown, then it turns to a little bit of copper, and then gold, and finally like a bright yellow. And then there are some pretty minor but rather contrast on the handle and pommel area. You guys can see here there are like white stars on the handle, as well as some red on this arrow and a little bit on this rune engraving right here. Right now I'm just gonna go start off with brown, which is gonna cover the majority of the sword. So I'm just gonna go and use this brown spray paint to cover the handle area, which extends to like something just about this part right here. And then based on the art style, this sword kind of looks somewhat like jagged and a little bit beaten up. To add that texture, I'm just gonna go spray a little bit of a bronze paint on its cap and then just like go absolutely ham with my paintbrush. No, seriously, this is exactly how it's done. I mean, honestly, by the time I was doing this, it was actually getting a little bit late, and I was also like pretty exhausted, pretty sleepy as hell, and I got this pretty stupid idea to just like, you know, what if I just like randomly splatter the paintbrush all over the place? It turned out exactly the way I wanted it to be. I mean, this is not exactly the same, but I guess if it's interpreted in real life, it would have looked like a rusty, half beaten up piece of steel now, wouldn't it? Anyway, let's move on to the next color. We're gonna be doing this fade pattern on the blade, so I'm gonna go and start off with the tip, just to give myself like a little bit of indicator, like what's the max, like where's the maximum. So yeah, I'm just gonna go and apply a shit ton of gold and yellow right there. Then on the middle section, I'm gonna put some bronze. Now to smooth up the transition between the brown and the bronze, you're gonna wanna grab your spray can, take a couple steps back and just spray from there. Due to the distance, particles are gonna get into like a much larger spread, from thick and focused into thin and much spread out. This, my guys, is how you achieve like a really smooth fade pattern. And once that's done, you also might want to repeat that on this lower half with the gold paint as well, so you could like transition between the bronze, yellow and gold area. And yeah, that's just about it with the major colors. Now once the paint is dry, I'm just gonna go and bring this sword back to my room, then we'll just finish the rest using paint brushes. So for starters, I'm just gonna go grab some bright red paint, spray it on the cap, and then just use my paintbrush to like cover these runes as well as this arrow. Personally, I think this way is just like faster compared to using the masking tape, because like the color on this is just very little and very minor as well. Then after that, we can just go and finish the rest using some white paint, specifically on this one ring under the pommel right here, as well as the stars on the handle, just like so. And there we go. That's basically the paint job done right there. So here it is, boys. Surtr Sword from Arknights, finally done. If there's like one word I'd say about this sword, it's definitely gonna be ridiculous. I mean, it's probably one of the most unhinged sword I've ever done. I mean, yeah, there's the Favonius Greatsword and the Claymore swords. But I guess there's like nothing that comes close to the size of this thing. This thing is just like absolutely massive. But the shocking fact is, if we're talking about like the real life counterpart of this thing, it actually exists. From what I could personally come up with, I think that this sword is some sort of like a demon love child between like a German Zweihänder and a Japanese Odachi. The upper half belongs to a Zweihänder, and then this massive curved blade belongs to an Odachi. But the thing is, it's like both of those swords are designed to be like over 2 meters long. So I don't know, maybe if you're thinking like, do they even exist in real life? Yeah, they do, bro. There's like ridiculously strong people who could like wield them as well. Which is obviously not me though, because this is just like a plastic replica of it. And then in terms of color, I'm absolutely like satisfied with the finish. Looks like pretty rough, jacked and beaten up in one side, but as you can see right here, it's actually nice and reflective as well. And so I'm in the mood to take this baby out for a spin. Y'all come in? Alright, sweet. See you there.
何も聞こえない冷えてく体に願うその手にただ触れたくて祈る最低な髪よ散りゆく花よ閉じられた声冷たく消えてく僕を殺してはもう時計の島歩む答えなんてどこにもないの闇の中もがいてどこまでも落ちてゆくの
God damn, that was sick. Alright guys, so that was the video. Hit the like and subscribe if you enjoyed watching. Y'all take good care, have a great day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Until then, say you live.